Hello BuzzFamily and welcome to BuzzBarca. Today we'll be talking about Barcelona's transfer news including Mikayil, Faye, Fermin Lopez, and also some other players. We will also be looking at Laliga's fixtures that have been announced for the upcoming season. All that and much more today. BuzzBarca. Starting off, let's talk about Mikayil Faye and his transfer that is being announced to FC Porto. FC Porto are going to actually present a formal bid to Barcelona for 15 million this week, as the meeting has been already scheduled. Just to know that Barcelona want a buyback clause to be included in this deal, as they don't want to lose control of the player, as we've seen with many other players that have left Barcelona as well. Talks will continue this week, as there's also some Prem teams that are also linked to Mikayil Faye and his transfer. And the reason that they are leveraging Mikayil Faye is because they believe they have a lot of depth at center back in Araujo, Kubarsi, Kunde, and Christensen. It also doesn't help that Longley doesn't want to leave the club and Serginho Dest couldn't get sold to PSV due to his injury. So this is a good way for Barcelona to make some funds right now, and later on if they want Mikayil Faye back on the team, they can buy him back. So let's see how it goes with Mikayil Faye and his future at this club. It's been reported that Barca are to sell 100 million worth of players before June 30th to reach the 1-for-1 rule. So even though we're selling Mikayil Faye for 15 million, it looks like in the future, if we were to buy him back, it would be much easier because we will be in the 1-for-1 rule. As of right now, we're in the 1-for-4 rule. So this might be just a little play in the books to get him back in the future. And maybe he performs really well at Porto and it is worth bringing him back. This will go a long way of generating funds for Barcelona, and especially at a time like this. Moving on, let's talk about both of the Jows, starting with Cancelo. It is reported that Man City are looking for a loan to buy costing 25 million. So he will be loaned and it'll be a permanent option to buy. I don't think this is something that Barcelona really want, especially in their financial situation. And with someone of his profile, I don't think it would be worth buying a backup. That's what it's looking like. And as for João Felix, it's actually reported that Hansi Flick would rather have him than have Ferran Torres in his team. So let's see how the negotiations go, because Atletico Madrid are a very tough team to negotiate with. There's also a rumor that Jose Mourinho wants João Felix at Fenerbahce, the Turkish club that he is coaching for next season. So let's see how this all develops. There is another Barcelona youngster that has shown big interest from Premier League teams such as Man United, and his name is Fermin Lopez. Man United have offered Barcelona 30 million to sign Fermin Lopez. It is obvious that he is a huge talent and has a knack for scoring goals and being in the right place in the right time in the box. He's a very high intensity player that puts his head down and runs. However, Barcelona have rejected this offer, and Fermin Lopez does not want to leave Barcelona anyways. He is actually looking for a contract extension. It's really great to see a player like Fermin Lopez, who played in the 3rd division only 2 years ago, to come into the first team, break through with Xavi, and show his excellence out for FC Barcelona. Especially with a team with Pedri, Gavi, Lamine, Kubarsi. He has held his own and he's scored big goals in big moments, and he's someone that Hansi Flick can use in that attacking mid-role. Moving on, let's talk about some more Barcelona targets for this transfer window. First off, it is reported that Deco went to speak with Dani Olmo's agent, as there seems to be big interest from Barcelona and Hansi Flick to get Dani Olmo to Barcelona. In my opinion, this is very unlikely just because of how expensive Dani Olmo is, and with the likes of Nico Williams being one of the front runners for the left wing position, I don't think we would have enough money anyways to go for Dani Olmo. It has also been reported that Luis Diaz of Liverpool has also shown interest for Hansi Flick. This is another player that I don't think will come to Barcelona eventually, only because Liverpool see him as an important player. He will be very expensive to bring in, and he's also up there in age, so we would only have him for a few years before he starts trending downwards. Bruno Guimaraes is also linked with Barcelona, the player from Newcastle, and someone like him, once again, will be a very high price tag. And finally, Angelo Stiller, the player we talked about from Stuttgart, that's CDM. It's reported that 25 million will not be enough, and that they actually are looking for 50 million. So it looks like this deal might be in jeopardy, especially with Mikel Merino's contract negotiations with Real Sociedad are not looking good, and they might let him play out his contract, which means that Barcelona have big leverage in bringing him in. In my opinion, Barcelona should take that route. Merino's looked pretty good in his little time in the Euros, and he's played pretty well for Real Sociedad over the last season, especially winning the most duels in the top 5 leagues. So someone like him for 25 million is a no-brainer to me. And finally, let's talk about La Liga's schedule that they they've announced for the new season. Match day 1 for FC Barcelona will be against Valencia. It will be on Sunday, August 18th, so be there for the first game of the season. And when it comes to the El Clasicos, the first of 2 will be on Sunday, October 27th, and the second of 2 El Clasicos will take place on match day 35 on May 11th on a Sunday. That game could be very crucial depending on how the standings are at that time, and let's see how it goes. So that's gonna do it for today's video on Barca's transfer news involving Mikayil, Faye, Fermin Lopez, and a bunch of others. Also, we got to take a look at Laliga fixtures, especially with the El Clasicos. Drop a like and subscribe, it helps the channel out a ton, and see you next time. BuzzBarca.